This week on the podcast, I wrestle in 5 different states in 5 straight days. I find myself on an all-women's show, and Jeff Jarrett reminisces about the fairgrounds while at the fairgrounds. Enjoy the show.
This is the Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to the Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a podcaster, I'm a traveler, I'm a flyer, I'm a frequent flyer, I'm a man who deals with insurance. Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'm calling you out. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is fan supported and listener supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Use some social media, spread the word a little bit, or go on over and purchase something at ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, wrestling documentaries, a children's book, micro brawlers, and so much more. It's the best way that you can support. ColtMerch.com and DigitalColt.com. A full schedule this week, out of control. Not only did I wrestle 5 straight days in 5 straight cities, that made no sense, but whatever. Before I started the week, I did a training seminar. So I flew out to San Diego Wednesday morning. I had a show in San Diego Thursday night, but I did a training seminar, the SoCal Pro School in San Diego, California. Jeff Dino, he runs shop over there. And I like to think it was a successful one. We had about 25 students. I want to say kids, but I mean, these are grown people. They're not kids. They're men and women of adult age, trainees for the night, and always fun to pass on the knowledge. There was a tweet from one of the guys that went to the session, and in it he said it was like learning under a black belt in karate, which you don't think about, but yeah, I guess so. That's not a brag on me, but I've been doing this a very long time, and you pick up things over the years, and when you're around successful people, you pick up things that make you successful and can make others successful. So that was nice to hear, and I hope everyone enjoyed their time in the ring with me the very next night. What a show. I mean, this whole weekend summed up indie wrestling. Just the different venues and the different wrestlers and the different scenarios and just everything. I did know a handful of the wrestlers on the show, including some of the people that I helped train the night before. But BBoy is a guy who's been on the independent circuit for years, just as long as me, even a tad bit longer, as he'll tell you when I talk to him. So this is what the show is. I'm all around the country, all around the world, run into people doing the job, and then we talk about where we're at and what we're doing.
We found ourselves in the pits of the valley of San Diego, and I think we're in La Mesa or something like that.
The correct answer is Joltin' Joe's.
Oh, is that where we're at?
You don't know?
Bro, you should already know that I don't remember 5 minutes ago.
I mean, he's been running these shows for a while, right? It's a Thursday night in San Diego.
Is it Thursday?
Have you done this one a number of times or no?
Oh, yeah. This is like a very local show. It's a good time. You know, obviously it's a bar show. Everybody gets drunk, and there's a lot of gimmick stuff that happen here, a lot of fun stuff.
What's the gimmick stuff?
The gimmick stuff, there's a girl named Lois Grain, and she goes by, and she does a lot of butt stuff. I think you would actually enjoy it, actually.
Is that my reputation of being into butt stuff?
I've heard.
It's been too long.
It's been long. In a couple of weeks will be my 20th year as a professional wrestler.
Holy shit.
I know. Tell me about it.
Where did the time go?
Probably down my pants.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Okay. But like I started my new promotion called Ground Zero over in San Diego. I also have my own wrestling school now called Level Up, which is like about a mile away from here. So keeping busy, wondering why I'm still doing this and stuck in it.
San Diego's never been a hotbed of independent wrestling, has it?
Until recently.
Or are you claiming throne to the...
I don't know about claiming the throne, but it is starting to get a little bit hot. We've been getting a lot of good crowds and stuff like that on certain shows and everything.
I mean, there hasn't been like 1,000 people indie show here, has there?
No.
Well, didn't Ray try to run here or something?
I don't. Oh, well, Ray did do something. Him and Ruben Zamora did something at Montgomery High School, I think, where he used to go to high school at. And I think they got close to 1,000 people there.
That's not even that big.
No, not really. I mean, we can't all be like you and wrestle in front of 100,000 people.
I mean, I'm just making a statement that San Diego, it just fucking. Also, I like the idea that of course, I've wrestled 100,000. Yeah, every week. That San Diego is. I don't think it's just that it's never been like, oh, that's where indie wrestling lives. But
yeah, you're absolutely right. What I've always said, and you know this, is that Southern California is a gem and it's very highly underrated. Whether it be Los Angeles, San Diego, when it comes down to talent. And I feel that a lot of Southern California wrestlers now are actually starting to be seen now. I think it's just about time that everybody started noticing it, but it's always been there, and it's about time that people are actually notice it on a bigger scale now.
And if you want to get noticed, go get trained by BBoy, right?
Thanks for the plug, baby.
All right, thanks. I got up at 4 a.m. to get on a flight from San Diego to Chicago, landed in Chicago, went right to physical therapy, and then I was called upon because David Arquette did not make his wrestling booking. And I had a Friday off because I was going to go Wednesday, Thursday, San Diego, Saturday, Sunday, and then a Tuesday show. And my good friend Kevin Harvey of Rise Women Athletes, he said, I'm kind of in a bad spot here. David Arquette isn't showing up. Are you open? I am. It's only 25 minutes from my house. I'll make it. So I'm sitting in rush hour now. But I did want to talk about something that happened last night at the show in San Diego. It was at a bar show, a very rowdy show. I understand the mentality, and in my match, one of the wrestlers, and I'm not getting into it, but one of the wrestlers, his way of getting the crowd behind him to hate his opponents who were the bad guys were kind of to insinuate that they were gay. And that was his way of riling up this crowd to hate on these 3 wrestlers that they were gay. Listen, I'm not a perfect dude. I've said some awful stuff in my past. There's a 1PW promo that I found on the internet, and I'm not even going to go into it. And I couldn't believe I said what I said, and I'm ashamed of what I said. And the point is that you learn and you become a better person from it. That's what we can do, right? So I did get on the microphone, and I said that we do not dislike you because you are homosexuals. We dislike you because you are bad people. And I know the PC police is going to be like, Colt, what can't we say? Where does the line draw? Where do we draw the line? What can't we say? And I say to that, if there's someone in the crowd who's gay and the whole crowd is ganging up on how much they hate the people in the ring because they're gay, how is that person supposed to feel comfortable at a wrestling show? And I don't know. I did some Officer Colt Cabana stuff, and Officer Colt Cabana was like, I rape people in the showers. That's what I do as a bad person. I rape people. And for me, it was probably fine to do on the Juggalo show, but I did it on a Beyond show, and I'm still not sure whether it's fine or it isn't. Because in my mind, I'm portraying this character that is an awful human being, and the idea that I would rape somebody in jail is the awful trait, and then therefore you should hate me and hope that the good guy beats the fuck out of me. And what I'm saying here is that the only awful thing we're saying about these people is that they're gay, and that's not an awful thing. So the point is I'm driving to the show. I think I have a flat tire. This is just a whole nother story. What a mess. The whole thing is that we, I felt like, hey, maybe I can make a difference. Maybe we can make a difference if we start kind of changing. And it's not like I'm making this movement. So many people are making this movement, but that's something I think about a lot. I was a very heavy kid, and I think about when someone calls somebody a fatty. Why would they ever want to come back if they're just shamed of what they look like? It would just be, I think that would be embarrassing. I don't like it. I'm trying to do my part, but then we go, where do we stop? I don't know the answer. I feel this is just an episode of South Park, but all right, I'm getting off the exit here, and I will be in Berwyn before you know it. That was right before I got to the Rise show. And I had some stuff in my mind, and I thought it would be a good time to do it while in the moment, while driving to a show. And a couple of things, I guess, that I want to clear up or I want to say. I think I said it, but we use these as moments to learn from and will change us. I said the R word, Down syndrome, in 1PW. I was just looking at some old stuff, and I saw it, and I was just ashamed of myself. And at that time, for the most part, I was working with kids with Down syndrome, and you get in the moment, maybe. There's no excuse. This was, I don't know, 14 years ago. There is no excuse. And also, I wanted to say about the thing at Beyond, which was, over 2 years ago, about, I guess, the rape thing. I'm not saying what I said was okay because I was a bad guy. It did trigger a lady. I remember she was very upset, and I remember I was being defensive. But looking back on it now, I don't know how defensive I should have been, and maybe I should have been a little more sympathetic towards her and her needs. I'm saying instead of this being yelling at people and putting people down for the way they use words, like hopefully this is this opens the discussion, right? Like there's an open, peaceful discussion, and we're not just at each other's throats. If it's something that needs to be changed, I'm not going to do it, and that's what's happened over the years. Is I've learned that words that hurt the people that it's supposedly supposed to represent, all you got to do is not say those words and just choose a different word. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm not looking to hurt anybody or anybody's feelings or anything, especially with wrestling. It's just meant to be fun. I understand in the 60s or 70s we use this kind of stuff to quote-unquote get heat, but that's the great thing about wrestling. It's evolved and changed, and for those who want to stay back, back in the past, then that's where you belong. But I like to think that I'm somebody who's progressive and can move forward with the future. So that was what was on my mind. Hopefully what I just said now also makes sense, and I'm sure I'll get a berating for something on social media. I'm sorry. Also, David Arquette did miss a wrestling booking, but he still showed up to the show. He didn't wrestle. He managed myself in RJ City. He was there, and he's now kind of involved in professional wrestling. And I talked to him and RJ City. Mr. Arquette, thank you for the payday tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for covering me. Thank you. A wrestler that acts, an actor that wrestles. I mean, it was a good pairing.
Do you feel bad about that, RJ?
And I really do neither. I don't wrestle or act very well.
But say you do both.
Say I do both. Let's say it's a nice meeting of people who have kind of acted and kind of wrestled.
Tell, I guess, my listeners how I lucked out on a gig tonight.
Well, I had an operation to my elbow, and so I'm out for 6 weeks. I also had a movie I was contractually obligated to do that kept changing dates with Richard Dreyfuss, which I'm really excited about. So
I didn't say Richard. I got a VFW hall in Joliet, Illinois that I need to do. You're on my schedule.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm really sorry.
You didn't say that to Richard?
Oh, no, I couldn't say that to Richard.
To be honest with you, this entire debacle is Richard Dreyfuss' fault, and I have Richard Dreyfuss heat. I have no problem saying it. I'll call him out. I'll do a shoot interview, and he can meet me anytime, any place, Mr. Dreyfuss. I will be waiting.
You can come meet him in Youngstown, Ohio.
I'll see you in Youngstown, Mr. Dreyfuss.
Was the injury from wrestling?
Yeah, it was from training. I got I forgot what it's called, a bolsa. A bolsa. I kept training at bursa. And they said they could stuff it with gauze and let it dry out or take it out. So
were you annoyed? You're like, I'm coming back and fucking already shit's happening to my body? Or
no, I'm not surprised. I'm probably not training right entirely, getting up right or anything like that. If you're training on it, you just swell it won't. I kept getting it drained. It just wouldn't heal. So I just started this movie, and it looked like I had a big tumor, so it is what it is. But I can't believe what you guys put yourself through all the time. I'm just like scratching the surface and just getting a taste of it, and it's insane.
Did you know about the indie scene when you were doing like the WCW and the Ready to Rumble movie? Like, was that a thing you knew about?
No, I really didn't. I mean, I really didn't know.
It's pretty fun, right?
About wrestling. Yeah. I loved wrestling as a kid, and so when I did it, I was like a macho man, like fanatic, and then the chance just to work with him and then DDP and all these guys that I was fans of. That's really what I did.
But you and RJ are now like doing this weird underground scene that you had no clue about.
Well, that's what got me back into it. I started getting in the indie scene in Southern California. I went to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. bar wrestling, IWS. AWS, sorry. Yes. See, I'm always bad about stuff like this.
I'll edit it so you sound amazing.
No, great. No, don't. I don't try to hide that I, wasn't the most knowledgeable and, was in the right place at the right time. That's all that
I
happened.
hope you don't. I'm not calling you out on anything. You don't.
No. I'm always super defensive about it. I feel bad about it. It's like the reason. But I did start getting back into the independent scene and seeing all this stuff, and the whole sort of, place changed in a way. And it just seemed like a fun time to come back and learn what I never got to learn. And just doing that's been really thrilling.
And RJ, I've now gathered some bookings now. I'll see you in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing, I guess. I got no better or no worse out of this whole deal.
I unfortunately cannot be your manager that night. I'm sorry.
You did a great job tonight. You kept sliding. You chopped me.
I'm sorry about that.
Hard.
I know, and I chopped you with the hand I just had operated on.
What a trooper. What a trooper. Wait till Richard Dreyfuss hears about that.
No kidding. They are going to get really upset that I even got in the ring.
RJ and I will be tagging for IWC November 10th in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Thanks to David Arquette and Richard Dreyfuss. Most importantly, I was at an all-women's show. It was a women's showcase. What kind of sexist piece of shit would I be if I didn't talk to a woman and get her views on what was happening and her thoughts on the show itself, women's wrestling in general, and the genre, and whatever it may be. So Cheerleader Melissa was there in the same locker room with me, and we talked.
I thought I should talk to a woman about this experience, and I know the obvious answer is oh, we love, or yeah, of course we want to be on this show, but a little bit of me thinks I don't know, I want to get in the head of a women's wrestler of sure. Sometimes it's better to be the only woman on a card with 6 people, that way you stand out. I don't know if any of that stuff goes through your head, just the difference between these full women shows and just shows where you're just the quote-unquote special attraction or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, because at the shows like this, at Shimmer and Rise, even though it's an all-women show, it's not the same match every time. And you definitely don't have the same cookie-cutter girl in there every time, too. You got girls ranging from sizes to my size, and Jessica Havoc, who's an absolute monster, and she'll have memorable squash matches, which will sometimes just outshine the rest of the shows, stuff like that. And then
Is there a preferred one, or is it all just a different style of the wrestling?
I think it depends on the person's personal preference. Some people really love the...
Yeah, but for you, I want to know
Oh, for me? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me have this candy here. No, what do I prefer? If it was my show? That's a great question. See, you ask all the good questions.
In a perfect world, are you on an APW show where it's just all dudes and you're the only women's wrestling match, or is it cooler to be, or is there just different reasons for everyone? You can't give a real answer.
I just can't give a real answer. But I will say it is cool to do the intergender stuff on Lucha Underground because they give me free reign to just break all sorts of rules, which is fun. So I really do. I've always had a lot of intergender matches, and I like the intergender matches. You get to kind of defy the imagination of what, I would imagine a lot of fans have perimeters on, what matches should be. And I would imagine a lot of those perimeters, you would never put in a male with a female. And then not only seeing that, but just seeing kind of out of the norm stuff. For example, oh my gosh, he hit her so hard, she's bleeding. That's not a common scenario at all. I like the breaking barriers part. And I think there's a big market for it too. But gosh, if I had to do a wrestling show, it wouldn't be just the characters. It would definitely be the atmosphere too. I would want the experience to start from the outside of the ring. I mean, from the outside of the building. If I want to do a Japanese women's theme show, I want the building to feel like you're walking into Japan. And the drinks, are green tea, and the snacks are sushi, and, and the arena, and maybe it's not even a real wrestling ring. Maybe it's a wrestling ring shaped like a sumo ring, just give it a whole crazy experience and just different costumes and bring in the Japanese girls. Of course, other characters too from all over the world, but.
Your brain is theater, big picture.
Oh, I would love it. If I had unlimited money or some investors' money to spend, I would do it. I would love to bring something like that to life. Do you want to partner with me?
It's impossible to make money in wrestling.
It is. That's true. That is.
I mean, more power to Kevin and Rise here, but it's a lot of women and a lot of talent here, so it's really cool.
A lot of money being spent.
It was a nice crowd tonight.
It was a great crowd. And it's even nicer when you see like the talent like move on to bigger things like, WWE and Mae Young and Impact. That's really cool. And it's not just one, you see multiple women here from that.
15 years ago, right? It was maybe one girl, if that, right?
Here?
No, would get a chance to like move on and be on a scene like that.
It was oh my God, it was such a different time. It was such a different time, especially for somebody like me. I say the same thing every time I was applying for a job that didn't exist. I would go there, and I would go on these tryouts, and I would be 1 out of 8 girls, and they're all Barbie doll models, and they're I'm not gonna lie, like they were just absolutely terrible. They had like a week's training, and I would go in there, and I would legitimately like kill it, but they weren't hiring women wrestlers at the time, and they kept on reverting back to the diva search multiple times, and it was just it was frustrating. It was frustrating, but the women's quote-unquote revolution has been going on for a long time. It started a long time ago, before Shimmer. I mean, look at the days, when Medusa was, working her ass off, trying to maintain her spots on WWE. I mean, it goes back so far, and Impact had the Knockouts division do very well, and then you see Lucha Underground doing creative things with their women, so it's almost just like, I feel like WWE had to catch up with the times. They were really like the last people to embrace it, but, they'd be the first one to claim it.
Yeah. At least they're doing it, right?
At least they're doing it now. They have to. Yeah. They have to now.
Got up the next morning. I could have drove to Des Moines, Iowa with Jimmy Jacobs, but I just knew the schedule that I was doing, and I saw it was only 10,000 miles to fly to Des Moines, and all I had to do was jump on the train, take like a 2 o'clock flight, get to Des Moines at 3:50, and then go to the show. And that's what I did. Not a true independent road dog spirit or road warrior spirit, and I don't mean the wrestlers. I mean the open roads of independent wrestling, but I did get there, and Sami Callihan was putting on a show. Pro Wrestling Revolver, it's his outfit. That's an old school word that I never used, but it seemed appropriate. Sami was putting on a show.
We're setting up for Revolver's 12th show in their 2-year history. Big show tonight, biggest pre-sale we've ever had. New building, second time we've ran this building, Valor Ballroom in Des Moines, Iowa. And we've built kind of like a little mini cult following out here.
Well, I think the building is what I wanted to talk about because it's real. There's something like what I love about it, what we do, and you understand it just as much as anyone, are these weird little buildings that we do. And I have a problem with this podcast is a little bit because we'll do Ring of Honor and they'll just all be arenas, but there's just some charm about just these weird places that we go to for these kind of like independent shows, and this has like a real like 60s vibe to it or something.
It is like a 60s building. This was actually where the Rat Pack used to play, Frank Sinatra, Louis Armstrong back in the day. This was a very famous concert hall back in the 60s and 70s.
But the stage has a roller derby type look, or the floor does, right?
It does. I feel like it could have been a roller skating rink at the same point.
I think it might be. So, yeah, and so there's like old pictures on the wall, and it looks like if a VFW hall was just giant, and that's what this seems to be.
100%. And over to our right here, we have a smaller stage. That's where actually Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra played. Then when they actually built onto this building. So you see... people can't see on the radio or on your podcast, but where that cuts off right there, that's where they've added on to the building. They made this building bigger, and there's that giant stage back there, actually. But just for our production, I like to move everything a little bit closer, make it a little more intimate. So it's like,
who plays here? There's just bands, big bands?
Big bands. ICP plays here every year. Slipknot plays here every year. Like, this is a pretty big concert venue. It holds about 1,000 people packed in here, and it's like, I decided to run this building in Iowa because I used to run Seven Flags Event Center, which was a great building. You wrestled there before.
Yeah.
Awesome building, but the ceilings are just so high that the acoustics go straight up, and it's not the atmosphere I wanted. This is a little darker, a little grungier, a little in your face, and atmosphere is everything in wrestling to me.
Who found this for you, or did you find it?
I found this building. Just me and my brother, my partner. This is somewhere he actually used to do security for, and he's like, yo, man, there's this other building we should check out that ICP plays all the time, Slipknot plays, and it has MMA fights here. It has a bunch of different things in the Iowa area, but now we've kind of had an exclusive deal with this building, and we're starting to run here every other month starting this month.
And I feel because it's Iowa, everything's cheaper. Is that you're just easier to grasp? I don't know.
This building's definitely cheaper than our other building. That's one of the reasons we're running it. But it's one of those things. The first show that I ran in Iowa 2 years ago, I booked a lot of old school WWE names, the Hardcore Hollies, Scotty Two Hotties, Billy Guns, the Rhinos. And I started seeing, as people started coming in, it was more Bullet Club shirts, NXT shirts, indie shirts. And then I realized, the next show, maybe I book a little more indie talent. And I did that, and the crowd got a little bit bigger. And then the next show, a little bit more, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. We kind of fell upon a quote-unquote smart mark demographic to the point of people come from Kansas City, people come from Chicago, people come from Iowa, because there's no big indie company that runs out here. So we're the one and only out here right now.
Grabbing a niche. And it was a good show. Finally met PCO, Pierre Carl Ouellette. He was standing on the top rope, dropped into a split-legged moonsault, and then just drove his head into the ground, 50 years old. He was fine. I don't know if Walter was okay as PCO landed on him, but unbelievable. This guy, and I just watched, I think Kenny Johnson made a documentary about him on YouTube. I recommend that. I love it. Inspires me. 51 years old or whatever it is. I'm going to still be doing it. If he can do it, I can do it. I wrestled Jake Manning that night. I put him through a tent, just through a camping tent. And then Jake, who is always affiliated and associated with High Spots, just like Caleb Konley, they were over at the High Spots booth that they were manning, pun intended. And I wasn't the only one doing a couple miles on the road, so were they in the old High Spots van. What's the schedule, High Spots car? Who's driving this loop?
Well, now since Caleb messed himself up in his match, looks like I'm driving again.
Second night in a row.
What did you do?
I was forced reverse Ronald and landed on the top of my head.
Yep, I saw that, and that was not done correctly.
No, it was not. It sucked real hard.
Do you know where you're at right now?
Oh, I don't think I'm concussed, but, maybe. I mean, I'm in Des Moines, Iowa, right?
No, you're in West Des Moines. You're wrong. Okay. It's West Des Moines.
I thought you were going to say I'm in denial.
I'm definitely in denial of having a concussion. Oh, my God.
Oh, then what's the loop for you, Jake?
Well, it's with Caleb, and we were just in Chicago last night. We're in Des Moines tonight. We are going to pack up immediately after this show, drive straight to Newport, Tennessee.
How long a drive's that?
I haven't looked it up. It's
12. It's 12 hours.
Hold on, you're driving tonight 12 hours.
Yes.
It's midnight right now.
Yeah. You look befuddled. Do you
act
not
like you've never drove 12 hours. Come on.
Not... I'm getting bullied by the High Spots crew.
Big guy over here.
Bullied, by High Spots crew.
Hold on, are you going to sleep?
Maybe when I'm behind the wheel, yeah.
That's why we got a whole bunch of drugs, man.
Wait, you're gonna drive 12 straight through tonight.
Well, there's 4 of us on the way back.
So we might split it up, but he's concussed.
I'm concussed for the second day in a row.
He can't feel his hand, so it's probably going to be me.
So this is the normal for you guys, though, right?
Yeah. We string things together. Normally they're a little bit closer together than 12 or 14 hours, but this is what we do about every weekend. We're always putting stuff together.
Next week we're starting in Hawaii and then working our way up to Maine. So.
I mean,
this guy's got jokes, huh?
Yeah, he's got jokes over here. But, reality for me is far funnier. Because as soon as I'm done in Tennessee, I'm going to go to Louisville for a day, hang out there, do a show with you at Jeffersonville, Indiana. I got to be back in Charlotte for a day, upload the footage to this show, and then immediately hit the road for Florida for 3 days, come back, promote 2 comedy shows, and have 2 shows edited before the weekend.
Think you're going to get it done?
We'll see.
All right, well, I'll see you in Louisville. I'm looking forward to seeing if you make the drive. We'll talk about it then.
Brother, I'm making the town. You know what I'm saying?
He's never not made a town.
Is he a notorious great driver?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, not a great driver, but he'll drive. Okay. He's a notorious driver for thousands upon thousands of miles.
Yeah, great is a strong term. It's a strong term.
You'll get the job done.
Yeah.
All right. And I flew to Nashville the next day, and the High Spots crew, they hit the road. I know Caleb was saying that there's different ways to stay up on a long road trip, but I could think of something that could help them all out, and it happens to be our sponsor for the show this week. I'm talking about Blue Chew. I won't say which wrestler it is, but there is a wrestler in the ROH locker room there that seems to call himself the Chew Fairy. Like it's Halloween in the Ring of Honor locker rooms. So if it's good enough for the wrestlers, maybe it's good enough for you. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them day or night, even on a full stomach, even on a long road trip. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever the opportunity arises. Hey-o! Blue Chew is prescribed. Yeah, I just did that. Blue Chew is prescribed online and that was the copy. Opportunity arises. I added in the hey-o. Okay. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor visits, no waiting in the pharmacy, and no awkwardness. It's made in the USA, so it's affordable because they prepare it in their own labs and ship it direct. Right now, I got a special deal for you or maybe your lover. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use the code COLT. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BLUECHEW.com. The code is COLT. Try it for free. Blue Chew, the better, cheaper, faster choice. Maybe they use it on that road trip. If not, hopefully they will in the future. I did get to Nashville. It was the NWA's 70th anniversary at the Nashville Fairgrounds. A huge show. So many different wrestlers there from all over the world, including a certain racketed manager who was the commentator for the night, who, I don't think cares for me very much, but had to watch me fucking rock it at that show. And that was fun. I mean, I was over. The fans were there. They were cheering for me. And the man with the racket had to hear that the fans enjoy my style of wrestling. Billy Corrigan was there. Dave Lagana. So many people were there.
Sean.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now?
I am a producer / agent / stooge backstage at NWA 70.
I haven't seen you on a show in years, and now you've popped up on this NWA show.
This is what I do. I go anywhere where I'm not welcome, not invited, when I'm soliciting work. And then once I completely give up and fake, they call me and say, hey, can you come in?
That's a good gig.
It is. WWE would return a phone call. Hey, can you come to the Greatest Royal Rumble? Can't get Jeff Jarrett or Jerry Jarrett to book me in the fairgrounds for decades. Finally, hey, you want to come be an agent? It's good.
That's good to see it.
Good to see you too, Colt.
You've done a million shows here?
Yeah, I actually, it was weird. I actually saw my I always have talked in the past about how many, I started here '86. I had my very first second match ever. Tony Falk's here actually in attendance night, who I had my first and second and third and first 10 matches with him. I've always said that. But actually the first match that I ever witnessed live, I used to watch Saturday night or Saturday morning. It was on the ABC affiliate here in town, and then it went to the first U channel around here, whatever. But anyway, no, the very first time I saw a live wrestling match was here, and I went to Birmingham a couple of nights later and saw the same match. Something's up there. But no, I saw my very first match here live in this building.
How far did you grow up from here?
8 blocks, literally. This is 8th Avenue down here at the bottom, straight out 8th and about a quarter of a mile off that, yeah.
And you've seen every wrestler in this building, I imagine?
No, over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of, no, there for a while. But we were here every Saturday night, and I would get picked up at about 5 or 5:30 when I lived with my mom. And
you would get picked up?
Yes. So my mom and dad were divorced. So living with my mom, she obviously didn't go to the matches, but my dad or somebody that worked for my dad would swing by and get me. And I could not wait to get to the building. And
this is when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah. 8, 9, 10 years old. Yeah, and that box office down there, I had to sit in. And I was just telling the story earlier. Boy, I'm sounding like a real old-timer. But they wouldn't let me go out there until the matches started. And so all of a sudden the national anthem, and they get it going, and I'm ready to go. And they're like, nope, both guys have to get in the ring. Then you'll go, my grandmother would walk me and set me down. Match was over. Ding, ding, ding. First match is over. She'd come get me, and I'd come to the back. And back in those days, in between matches, you had 5-7 minutes. It seemed like 10 hours. But I would have to go back to the box office, sit there. When's the next match? When's the next match? I'm like a little kid. We're almost there yet when we just leave. Anyway, a ton of memories in this building.
On this podcast, Jamie Dundee told me that he would like sell kisses for $1, and like he was working the gimmick stand. Were you working the gimmick stand?
I didn't know. Are you kidding me? My grandmother's around. They like, you stay in the box for that. You can't do this. And well, this is an audio podcast, obviously. If it was video, I could show you where I used to have to stand, about where Tim Storm's standing at. They would make me stand there, and I couldn't go in the dressing room. I didn't go to the dressing rooms. I was like 13 or 14, but like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I had to go there. And then ringside seats were sold right there, real close to us audio folks. But yes, a lot of memories.
And if it wasn't a Nashville, it's not a Nashville show without Jeff Jarrett being a part of it. And you've got your hand in here somewhere, right?
You know what? It's really cool. About this year has been so surreal. I was just telling Dave Lingana when we got together. The Hall of Fame was announced, but the induction had taken place. So it was between February and April. We met at a Panera Bread, and I knew that I was going to do something
classy.
Isn't that nice? It was on. It was on. No, yeah, we went Dutch. But no, we both sort of came to the arrival. I knew I was going to do something with fight, but didn't really know exactly how the chips were going to fall. And he knew, okay, we're gonna do something we're not sure. And then not long after that, hey, the 70th anniversary show. And then one thing led to another. Fights exploded. All In happened. Cody, Nick, the rematch, everything. We literally have a record-grossing house here tonight. And that's, my grandmother working for Nick Goulas, obviously, they opened the building back in the 70s. They had it. But my dad, obviously, he was a promoter here. And they used to, I think the biggest one was a Jackie Fargo Stan and Steve match because they raised prices. That was a record for a long
50
time.
cents. Right?
Yeah. it went from instead of 4 and 6, 7 and 8 that night or something like that, ringside. But no, it's pretty cool. Andy Kaufman wrestled here. They raised prices that night. That did big business. But I think the record for quite a while was Stan and Steve with Jackie. I don't know who, maybe the Sheep Herders or something. But that record for capacity, and we broke it because they back in the day, we got so many people on the floor tonight. I don't think fire code was enforced.
Oh, we won't tell anybody.
No. But it's cool. It's really cool to be a part of this and production. And Colt, they're calling me.
All right. I was out there for the big field match, Cody versus Nick Aldis 2. Congratulations, Nick Aldis, for becoming a 2-time NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. I know the feeling. And as the show came to an end, I would move on to another day of professional wrestling in Louisville, Kentucky. Or just, it was just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. It was actually southern Indiana. And I wanted to check on Jake, the Man Scout, see if he was still alive. We've made it back to Louisville, and Jake, you've made it to the show. You're alive.
I know. Surprisingly, I drove all the way through the night. I got some good rest behind the wheel. It was fantastic.
Stop it. Did you end up doing that whole drive?
I did almost half. I was a zombie when I turned it over, but I did as much as I possibly could through the night.
And then what? You just sleep in the car while someone else is driving?
Yeah, just sleep in the car, put the shades on if the sun's coming up. That's basically what it is.
That sounds romantic, though, right?
Oh yeah, it does. It's real sweet, And Caleb, he's got the really nice hair and stuff like that. Just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, life on the road. The sun's coming up. You're a wrestler, right?
Yeah, he's a wrestler. We know shared lives. It looks good in spandex. All those things.
This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the life that we live. A crazy road life. Not me. I flew to all these places.
Oh, well, you're big time. You know what I'm saying? I'm an underneath guy. And thank you for letting me be in your locker room. I'm not allowed to be in over guys' locker room. Normally I'm with the job guys over in the corner. So thank you for bringing me over here.
You're very welcome. But let it be known, it's an open locker room and there is no private area. So
okay, all right, cool. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But, technically, you're still in my locker room.
Oh, okay, nobody can corroborate that since it's an audio podcast. Nobody can corroborate that. I know you're a man of the people, or at least you like to say so. So.
Well, I'm glad you're alive, and I'm glad you made it.
Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. So, and I'm glad your flights didn't get delayed.
Thank you. And being in that area always brings back memories. I wrestled there for so long with IWA Mid-South, and then I moved there for OVW, just that kind of southern Indiana, Louisville area. And one of the guys I've known forever, for years, whether it was IWA Mid-South or even the Juggalo shows, Too Tough Tony. And let me break down Too Tough Tony for you. There was that kind of hardcore group of wrestlers who, if you thought about the stereotypical way that hardcore wrestlers kind of are, I know that's wrong to say, but a couple of them have gone south in life since becoming hardcore wrestlers or after their hardcore career. But then there was always Tony, who always was working hard, had a family, was very reliable, such a sweetheart. I mean, they're all sweethearts, but there's always something different about Too Tough Tony. So it is no surprise that He built his own arena and is being a responsible young man providing wrestling for the community.
So what I always thought was cool is when I first met you, Tony, at IWA Mid-South, Ian had like his own building. And I was like, this is so crazy. This is like just a building for wrestling. And 20 years later, you've got that now, right?
Yeah, I'm the boss now.
Is that?
I'm the boss now, you know. But no, seriously, wrestling's been so good to me, Colt, that I wanted to give back. And this is my way of giving back, you know, to the up-and-coming stars.
Right, it's like it's a place that holds wrestling. It's not just one place. There's probably so much wrestling going throughout. I don't know, right? Like in Japan, there was First Ring. There's like wrestling 7 days a week.
Right. And that's pretty much what I based everything off of. Take a look around the walls, you know, from my stay in Mexico. You know, just all kinds of little parts that I put together in here. And that's what it is. I got about 6 or 7 companies that run out of here.
One day you were like, I'm going to rent this place, I'm going to turn it into this thing?
Well, no, actually I had a guy came up to me. He's like, man, let's start a wrestling school. And I was like, man, whatever, you know. And wound it up. He found this building. I had a partner. Name was Tracy. We did about, I don't know, 6 months together here. It took us like 39 days and a quarter pound of weed to get this place together, okay? And he stayed with me about 6 months, and then all of a sudden it wasn't making no money, so he decided to sell out. He was trying to sell it to somebody else. I was like, before you sell it to somebody else, I'll pay you, keep our friendship. So I paid him, and the next day I sold 3 birthday parties.
And that's how you keep the doors open, right?
That's right, that's right. You know, it's feasible for me because we run Sunday shows here for my students. We train out of here. I rent it to other companies, so. You know, I'm glad that you're here, Colt. Look, we got Rick Swan and Teddy Hart in my building.
Nice.
You know, well, it's not my building, it's everybody's building. That's the way I look at it.
You're a man of the people.
That's right.
And Teddy Hart and Rich Swan, they did kill it. And it was a fun show. And it was great to see some of the listeners there and some of the hardcore wrestling fans there. And I wrestled Sam Adonis. And, you know, maybe this is full circle. Sam did get some heat in England a couple of months ago for saying some just crass stuff. And he's on an apology tour. And he comes to the ring with a flag with Donald Trump on it, and he's, you know, he does that successfully in Mexico, and he's, you know, trying to do it in America, I guess, and it's an interesting thing to split the crowd. And so after the match, after he tried to hit me with the flag, I picked up the flag, and I told everybody what I was going to do. It was not desecrate the flag, but I was going to register to vote, because I'm an American, and although we have the worst health care in the world, we do have our freedom, and we should use it wisely. All right, that is the show for this week. Before I get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
upcoming events.
All right, the best way you can support ColtMerch.com, digitalcolt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. My storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of this show, old and new, are ad-free on StitcherPremium.com/Colt. Use the code COLT, get a free month. ColtWrestling@gmail.com is my very public email. Maybe a promoter want to put me on your upcoming show or convention, or even be documented on this very podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I also have a website, ColtCabana.com. That's where you can find my P.O. Box. If you want to send me something fun, upcoming tonight, October 25th, Thursday, Chicago, Illinois, ZelloPro.com. Then I'm headed on the Jericho cruise. Lots of silliness will go down there. Friday, November 2nd, San Antonio, Texas, Facebook /RCW Forever. November 3rd, 4th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Maine, Boston, Buffalo, and Toronto. I will be doing commentary, ROHWrestling.com. Saturday, November 10th, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, ICWWrestling.com. Wednesday, November 14th, Detroit, Michigan, SanctuaryDetroit.com. Thursday, November 15th, Cleveland, Ohio, ClevelandComedyFestival.com. Wednesday, November 21st, Chicago, Illinois, live at NorthBar.com. That is our comedy tour that we are doing. Please tell a friend. It's such a fun show. Cheap tickets, very fun. Saturday, November 24th, Chicago, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Intro music by the Ukulele Teacher on YouTube. Outro music by Superfun, Yeah Yeah Rocket Ship. Podcast cover art design by Jimmy Lee. Photo by James Musselwhite. Thanks to BBoy, RJ City, Cheerleader Melissa, Sami, Callihan, Jake Manning, Caleb Konley, Jeff Jarrett, Sean Diavari, Too Tough Tony, and David Arquette for being on the show. Thanks to our sponsors, HighSpots.com, a VOD service that's amazing. PWG's, $5 Wrestlings, Kevin Steen shows, plus AMA knee pads that I wear, gear, mask, wrestling ring, you name it, they got it. 1HourTees.com, they help run ProWrestlingTees.com. That's where you can support your favorite independent wrestler directly. All right, that is the show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. You know I appreciate it. Tell a friend. It's a cool show. I like to think so. All right, this has been The Art of Wrestling for Colt Cabana. I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.
as I was about to talk to you, you're like, hey, come over here for a second. I have stuff to do. One of the things you needed to do was...
I had to put barbed wire on a cage.
Right, which is one of your duties here.